Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jeff Heller, as you know, trial attorney at Nuremberg, Paris, and Cleveland, Ohio. Phone number is 216-694-5203. You know you can always call me about personal injury, medical malpractice, and/or wrongful death matters. Today I want to talk to you briefly about autopsies. In my work, especially in medical malpractice and wrongful death cases, clients are constantly calling me, asking me, my loved one just passed away. The hospital has told me that I can get an autopsy if I want one, and they've given me till the end of the day to make that decision. What should I do? Well, that is a very important and significant decision that needs to be made. There are multiple factors that go into any decision to order or not order an autopsy, and I encourage you to call me if you are being asked to make that decision as far as a loved one's autopsy. Just as a brief overview, an autopsy is a post-mortem examination of a body. That means a after-death examination of a body. An autopsy is performed by a pathologist who is a doctor specifically trained in how to conduct an autopsy. And an autopsy takes several different steps, but the ultimate purpose of the examination is to determine the manner and cause of that individual's death. There are multiple steps that are taken. Just briefly to give you a quick understanding, generally the first step is making an incision, what's called a Y incision, from the top of the chest of the individual near the throat down to the sternum, and then in a what would really be, as you're looking at this, an upside down Y towards the edges of the abdomen. The abdomen is then opened, the contents are removed one by one, all the organs, they're visually examined, samples of them may be taken, they will be weighed because certain disease processes or generally any manner of death may affect the weight of internal organs. And then after the body is opened up and examined, specimens are taken, the organs are put back in the abdomen, the Y incision is then stitched up. One of the important parts about the stomach contents being taken out as one of the vital organs of the body is to determine, quite frankly, what the individual had eaten prior to passing away. Sometimes something they ate obviously is a cause of their death, and so that's an important part of the examination. Also, if the patient is on medication, those medication contents will make their way to the patient's stomach, and that's something that the pathologist will be interested in uncovering and looking at and testing. There could be a medication error, there could be an improper medication consumed by that patient, and those are obviously types of things that a pathologist would want to see. Part of the autopsy is examining the patient's brain. Many disease processes affect the brain directly, and that's something that can be seen on autopsy. If patients suffering from dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, that sort of thing, those diseases leave remnants in the brain and in fact themselves affect the brain, and a pathologist will want to examine that and see whether or not maybe those diseases, in the grand scheme of what else they know about the person's death, contributed to their death. Autopsies are very important components in any medical malpractice or wrongful death claim. Without going into too many details, I would encourage you, if a younger family member has passed away, to generally always request an autopsy. But for an older individual, even if it's a medical malpractice or wrongful death claim, an autopsy doesn't always give evidence to support a malpractice or wrongful death claim. In fact, sometimes the opposite occurs. Older individuals naturally have bodies that have broken down, worn down, their internal organs, their brains have suffered some decline, and an autopsy may just reveal that, and that will not help the case. And frankly, that could cause just discomfort and grief to your loved ones. And if you called me, obviously the facts are very important in that situation, but the ultimate decision may be made not to pursue an autopsy in those situations. Obviously, every day I'm consulted and called about whether an autopsy is warranted. I encourage you to do the same. You can call me, as I said, at 216-694-5203. Happy to talk to you without any strings attached, just to kind of talk you through the situation and make that decision whether or not an autopsy is warranted. You will see other videos posted by me related to autopsies. Other videos in this series, as I'll call them, will talk about the factors related to why you should or should not request an autopsy, and then ultimately, if you want to have an autopsy performed and you're not given that opportunity, whether or not you should request an autopsy. Now lastly, there are certain circumstances in Ohio where an autopsy is required. There is a catch-all factor under the Ohio Revised Code, or the body of law that governs what citizens and businesses and agencies alike must do in Ohio, and the catch-all is suspicious manner and cause of death. In that situation, an autopsy is required by law, but as you may know, that is up for argument, so autopsies are not always ordered in situations where you think they should be. So that's another reason why you should get a lawyer involved right away. A lawyer can help navigate the process of getting an autopsy performed in one of those unusual or suspicious, at least to you, situations. And there are several other circumstances where an autopsy must be performed in the state of Ohio. One of them is if a young person passes away. Autopsies are always performed, but those are just some basic ideas of when autopsies are done. Again, I encourage you to call me. I'm happy to assist you in any way I can. This is Jeff Heller at Nuremberg, Paris, trial attorney related to personal injury, medical malpractice, and wrongful death claims, and I'm very happy to talk to you and help you navigate this unfortunate process.